to read or not to read? That truly is the question. You know, I feel like if I have to reread that same page 10 times, is it really that good of a book? Hi friends, I'm Jessica and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time. So happy that you could make it today. If you haven't checked out my last video where I give you some tips and tricks on how to maximize your reading for next year and also some of my reading goals for 2021, go ahead and check that out. So I'm almost to 100 subscribers, so I'm super excited about that. You guys are making it happen, and as always, I'm super thankful for each and every one of you. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, go ahead and make sure that you click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new videos that I post. So I'm gonna be doing the worst books that I have read for the year. This is always a little controversial because, of course, it's gonna feel like I'm stomping on your favorite book, but I totally am not. It's all in lighthearted fun. These are just books that I personally did not like, but you can still go out and read them if you are interested in them. This is just my personal opinion. It does not reflect the opinion on anybody else, the author, the book itself, or it's not smashing on the genre that you may prefer or the book that you prefer to read. So this is all out of fun. These are just books that I read and I really did not enjoy. So if you want to see the worst books that I read for the year, keep on watching. This hair is crazy. All right, so this first book is Swan's Way by Marcel Proust. And oh, I don't even know where to begin with this one. So essentially Proust is a really famous author, especially if you are a literature major or you are interested in the classics. I know that this book was super raved about when I was doing my undergrad and I studied English literature myself, so reading Proust was like the epitome of being super smart and really knowing your stuff in English literature. But I just feel like just because it's a classic does not mean that it's good, does not mean that it's supposed to be good. And Marcel Proust is definitely a difficult author to read just with a style of writing. He pretty much writes about everything and nothing at the same time, and it's really confusing. And he uses a lot of like very flowery language, which to some may be very beautiful, but to me, it just made me really confused at the end of the day. So I think this book is broken up into 2 or 3 parts. I forgot, but this book is broken up into a few different parts. And the first part of the book is essentially about this young boy who is complaining because his mom won't tuck him into bed. Yeah, I know. Then the second part of the book is about this man, I think his name is, what is his name? His name is Swan. And he is trying to convince this woman to like love him and trying to convince her that he's the only one for her. And she keeps giving him the cold shoulder. And it's like, dude, if she said no the first time, no means no. She is not interested. She's just not that into you. You know what I mean? And I really did not like this book. It is so big. This thing is like almost 500 pages. I did annotate a lot in this book because there are a lot of like literary themes in here, but it just wasn't something I enjoyed. I did not like the style of writing. I thought that it was very rambly, like it just went on and on and on about nothing essentially. I do remember switching this to audiobook, which made it even worse. I don't know why I did that, but this book was just a whole lot of confusing, really did make a lot of sense for me, and it really solidified the fact that just because it's a classic doesn't necessarily mean that it's a great work of literature and something that you absolutely have to read. So, absolutely did not like this book. I think I gave it like a 2 stars on Goodreads. So yeah, I would definitely not recommend this one. So the second book is The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons, and oh, this one I didn't even finish because it was so confusing to read. And I remember going into this one completely blind. I heard that it was like very epic fantasy. And at that time, I really wanted a very big fantasy adventure story. It has dragons and swords and magic and all of that cool stuff. And I was totally in for it. However, I should have looked more in depth with the reviews because a lot of people were saying that this was a very confusing fantasy story. And it was. I also annotated this one as well because I had a hard time keeping track. And I feel like with fantasy, there are a lot of characters typically in fantasy stories. There's a lot of plot that happens. There's a lot of everything that goes on, and I'm totally here for it. But if I'm left feeling confused, and if I'm left like flipping between the pages, back to the map, back to the character index, it's just like doing way too much. So I really did not like this book at all. I did not finish it because it just was not giving me anything that I really wanted, and I was truly confused. So another one I did not like. All right, so this next one is everyone's fave that I'm going to hate on, ha ha ha, and it is Betrayed by Emily Henry. Listen, I know people love this book, they are obsessed with this book, but I truly could not get behind this book. Now listen, the first third of the book, I think I enjoyed it, right? So I was really into it. It was fun. It was interesting. You know, it's the beginning of the book. But the deeper I got into Betrayed, I could not stand January, the main girl. Could not stand her. I thought that she was so immature. Like, sis, we are like 30 years old and we're acting like this? Oh, yikes. I really just thought that the characters were super basic, the story was basic, everything about this book was basic, and I just did not enjoy it. I think that it's fun, it was light, which was something I was looking for in the moment, but it just felt really, really stale for me, and I did not enjoy it. So essentially it's about these two authors. One author writes romance, which is January Andrews, and the other author writes literary fiction, and his name is Augustus. They end up being on the same, like, I don't know if it's an island, but it's tucked away. It's like actually a lake house. It's not even a beach. It's a lake house. So they end up being in the same area with each other's like lake houses, and they challenge to write each other's genre. And it's pretty much about their relationship and everything that they kind of go through. It is a very fun read if you want something that is very lighthearted. I just personally thought the characters were very stale, very basic, really didn't have a lot of texture or depth to them. So yeah, it was a no for me. All right, so the next one that I did not like is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. Yikes. So I'm not going to go too much into detail about this because I did film a whole review video on this book. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you go and do that so you can see my full thoughts. But this book was so full packed of details, and it really didn't have very much to do with the story at all. I really wish that we would have gotten a lot more to do with the story because I think the story and what it was about is really interesting. It's pretty much about this cemetery where if you bury something after it has died, like I think the sooner that you bury it, it essentially comes back to life, but it's not exactly the same, if you catch my drift. So the book itself honestly could have been chopped in half, but it is like almost 400 pages worth of just details. Just superfluous details that we really don't even need. So I didn't enjoy it. I thought that it was very, very boring. I was not entertained. It wasn't that scary to me, but I do think that it does have those like chilling elements that could make it scary. I just have a very high tolerance for scary books, but I don't know. It was just a boring book, did not enjoy. I will say that I am interested in reading other Stephen King books, so this does not deter me from reading Stephen King at all. I just think Pet Sematary wasn't a good first one for me to read. So another book that is very popular and a lot of people's fave is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Again, I'm not gonna go super in depth because I did make a video about this one. But I just think it wasn't for me personally. What I will say is that I love the representation in this book, and I totally understand why people are obsessed with this story. I will say the inclusivity is chef's kiss, really spot on with this. I think that Talia Hibbert did a fantastic job with just the representation and making sure that voices that aren't typically heard are included in this book. As you guys probably know, Chloe Brown does suffer with like chronic pain and chronic illness, so I love that she put a character that is going through that in this book, because you don't really read very often about characters dealing with chronic pain. So I do like the representation that she has included. I just didn't really like the story itself. I didn't really like Chloe, to be honest. I wanted to like her so much, and I wanted to be like, girl, you are the best, but I just didn't get that feeling. I just felt that it was very one-dimensional for me, and with that being said, I think I would still recommend it to certain people because there is something that you can probably identify out of this book. It just wasn't for me personally. With that being said, I still am curious to see what Talia Hibbert has to write, so you win some, you lose some, you know? So another book that I really didn't enjoy was Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I feel like I can never get that name right, but friends, what is this book even about? I have no idea. Like, I was so lost during this. Like, I have no idea what this book is about. I think it's about these group of students that are actually clones, and yeah, that's what I got from it. I like had to look it up because I was so confused. I almost did not finish this book because I literally did not know what was going on. I really didn't like the style of writing because it never really says exactly what is going on. It's kind of like sci-fi-ish. Actually, it is pretty sci-fi-ish, but it doesn't read that way. And I just feel like it's one of those overhyped books that you read it and you're just like, what was everyone even talking about? I don't know. I can't even tell you what this book is about because it was that confusing. I would never recommend this because my head honestly hurt after I finished this book, and I still can't even tell you what it's about. So, Never Let Me Go. Didn't enjoy it. Yeah. All right, friends, so those are all of the books that I did not like. It's not that many that I really did not enjoy. I do try to be very intentional with the books that I choose so I can make sure that I enjoy them. Obviously, this is just my opinion, so if you do want to read any of these books, feel free, have at it. It just didn't do anything for me, but I know that these books are books that obviously, you know, a lot of people enjoy, and that's why they are so raved about. Again, this is just me and my funniness. Maybe I'm the weird one. I don't know. What books have you read that you really didn't like? Did you have any ones that you absolutely couldn't stand that you read this year? Drop a comment below and let me know. As always, thank you so much for your endless support. I am super appreciative of all of you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any new video that I post, and help me get to 100 subscribers. Also, make sure you are following my Instagram so you don't miss out on any bookish posts. I hope you enjoyed this video today, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!